Managing user accounts and groups. So group accounts. We have started this topic here in the last lecture, and we have created some user accounts, and we have managed to create and we have used some advanced options like we use to create the accounts with the different options, and also we did modify the existing accounts also. Now we will see some more things related to user and group management. Now we have seen in the previous lecture that how we can create user accounts with user add command. Then we have used some advanced options like for C to add the comment, then to -s to create a different shell for the user, D for changing the home directory for the user, then U for changing the UID of the user, and G also for changing the GID. Changing the GID means primary groups membership. So we have seen these things to create with the new user account, but if we want to do it for the existing account, that means the accounts are already there, then what we can do, we can use the same option, but the command will change it to user mode. It is user modify, and we can use this command to user modify command to modify the existing users information. Like for example, to change the comment we use the same option C, to change the shell we use the S option, to change the home directory we use the D option. But when we use the D option for changing the home directory, because the user is already there, so we should use the M option also with the D to move the directory also. So this D with M, it will move the home directory also from the place, like it is in the directory, in some directory, so we move it from the other directory. Then we use the -U option to change the UID, and -G options to modify the primary group membership, changing the primary group ID. ID changing, that means it is changing the membership. So we did these things with creating the new user and for the existing user. Now for the existing user, with the user mode command, we can do also some more things. For example, we can use -L option. Now this L option will do what? It will change the login name for the user account. That means, suppose we have created some users. So if you check this under etc passwd, we can see that we have created these user accounts, user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if suppose I want to change the login name for any user, and we have this user also. Now if suppose I want to change the login name for this user, then I can do that. And because it is an existing user, so we'll use user mode command. Now for the new user login name, we actually create the login name, so it is no point of changing the login name. So we will change the login name only for the user who's already created. So we use user mode, and then we will use a new username, login name, and then we will give the existing username, login name. So I want to give this new name to the user Taki. So this is the existing login name for the user. Now it will change to this. Now when you verify it from the password file, passwd file, now you can see that user is now become this. So this is now the login name for this user. UID is same, GID for the primary group is also same, and even the home directory name is also, previously it was this, so it is still this. But we have only changed the login name for the user. Then one more thing we can do, we can use the user mode command to log the user account. So for example, we have user 1, we have not given password for user 1, so I will give password for user 1 first. Now user 1 has a password, user 1 can log in. I will go to other terminal to log in as a user 1 account with the password. and it is logging in successfully. Now I can do what? I can use user mode hyphen capital L option. Now small l to change the login name. Now the user mode hyphen capital L is to lock the user account. This is to lock the user account. Now when you run this command, the user will be locked and the password for the user will be locked. Now when I try to log in with this user account, so it will not log in, it will say login incorrect. It is not saying that it is disabled, it is saying login incorrect because of the password lock. It is actually disable the password. Now if I want to unlock the user, then you will use user mode hyphen capital U. Remember, small u is for the UID, capital U is to unlock the user account. Now this will do what? It will unlock the user account. Now the user can log in. Now if we go and try to log in again, now it can log in here. It says that it was there was one failed attempt before this successful login. Because of that, login incorrect error. Now it was saying when I log the user account, it says user login incorrect. It was not saying that the user is disabled, because it actually disables the password. And when we try to use any and remember, we cannot log in, any user cannot log in without a password by default. And also we can only lock the user when the user is already created, and we can unlock the user only when the user is created. So this we will do with the user mode command. Now it will do what? It will actually lock the password for the user. For example, I will lock again this user. Now the user is locked. If I try to log in through this user, I get error here that it is login incorrect. Now I will try to switch the user. This is, I am logged in as a root, and I will try to switch to this user, user 1. Now you can see I can switch here. It is not locking the user actually, it is actually locking the password, disabling the password. Now what is happened here? Because I logged in as a root account, so when user root switch to any other user, that user the password will be not asked for the user root, because root is an administrator, so the password is not password will not be asked. So because of that, when I switch to this user, it is not asking the password and it is logging me in. Instead, I locked the user. So it is not locking the user, it is actually disabling the password. So because the user root does not require a password, it can still log into that user account. Now disabling the password, that means when you open the file which contains the information about the password, it is shadow. So when we open this, we can see here this user is having a password, this user 1 is also having the password, this user is also having the password. Now what is the difference in between these users? I have opened this file in VIM and we can see it in colors. If you see, the password hash of this user is in this color, and for the password of this user 1 is on this color, it is a black. So it is not showing in this color. So basically the password is disabled. And how? If you see closely, there is an exclamatory sign present in before the password hash, but here the password is active and before that there is no exclamatory sign. So it is actually password is disabled. It is not disabling the user, it is not locking the user. So when we use this -L option, capital L, it will do what? It will unlock the password. And then when you try to log in with that user account, username will be accepted, but when you try the password, so it will say password is not right and it will say error, login incorrect. Now when you unlock the user account with capital U, and then you can see the shadow file. We can see the explanatory symbol is gone and the password hash is in now colors, same color as this password hash. So it is now unlock. So this capital L is to lock the user password and the capital U to unlock the password. So user L is to lock the password and user U, user mode hyphen capital unlock the password. So now we have seen how we can create the user account, how we can modify the existing user account. Now next we will see how we can create a group. Remember, every user when we create, they come with the group, they come with the primary group. So every user has their own primary group which comes when we create the user, and that group is a primary group. And that is also a normal group, and it can also have a different members. Now if suppose I want to create a separate group for something, like I'm having a sales department, I want to create a group for that department. I want to add all the users into that group, so all the users from that department into that group, so that I can give all those users same permissions or restriction or whatever, and I can do that by using that group. So for that I will use a command group add. Now this command we can use to create a group, and then we will mention the group name. Now this will create a group. Now this group is not a primary group of any user, and also till now it is not a secondary group for any user, because we have not created any, we have not added any user into it. Very simple. This group add command is to create a group add, and then you will mention the name of the group, whatever the name you want to, whatever the group you want to create. After creating it, we can verify it from the configuration file, which is under etc group file. So when you go to this group file, we can see that we have created this group with this GID. So whatever the GID was available, it has created the group with that GID. For example, after 5001 is available, so it created with that. Now there is no secondary member added into this, or not even a primary member. Now if we want to do this, we want to add primary member or secondary member, so we can do that by using the user mode command. Now user mode command, we can use this command to change the primary group membership for the user. So for example, we use -G to change the primary group membership. Then we will mention the group name. So this is the group name. We can mention even the GID also and the name also. Then we can mention the group username. Now for example, I mentioned user 5. So I want to make this group a primary group for this user 5 now. So when I press enter, this group becomes the primary group for user 5. We can verify it. Now we cannot verify it from this file. If you go to the file, you will not see anything like user 5 here, but we can verify this by using the command ID and the username, and we can see that this user is the primary member of this sales group, and the sales group is now the primary group for this user, and coincidentally they are having the same UID and GID also. Now this is how we do what? We add the primary member. Now remember, we cannot remove the primary member. If suppose this user's primary group is this sales, then we cannot remove this user from this sales group. We can only change it. That means we can change this user's primary group only, but we cannot remove it. Now for secondary member. So for secondary member, we can use user mode command also. Now for the secondary group membership, we give -G. small g is for the small group, small user membership, small secondary membership, small g is for the primary group membership, and capital G is for the secondary group membership. So I will mention the group name, and then I will mention the user which I want to add to this group as a secondary member. I will say user 1. Now this we can verify from the file also. So when you open the file, this group file, we can see that this is the secondary user, this is the secondary member here for this group. Also we can verify it by id command. So we can use id command for user 1, and we can see here that this user with this UID is having a primary group with this UID and this name, user 1. So user 1 has its own primary group. Now which group the user 1 member is? So it is a member of its own primary group, and now it is a member of also this sales group. So this user 1 is member of these two groups. Its primary group, and this is the secondary group. Now this user mode command is only to change the membership. It is only to change configuration. It is not like you can add the user. You are not adding the user into group. You are actually changing the membership. For example, right now, if you see the file, this user is a secondary member of sales group. But we know that user can be member of multiple groups. But only one group will be the primary, but other groups will be all secondary. So this user can be a member of secondary group of secondary member of other groups. Like it can be a member of this group, it can be a member of this group, and all the other groups. Now if I try to use user mode command, so it will do what? It will change the membership. It will not add the user into the group. So this user is right now member of this sales group. Now if I run the command to change this command user mode with the capital G, and this time I want to make this user member of this group, user 1. Now previously and now, right now it is a member of this group, secondary member. Now I want to make this user secondary member of this group. But this user mode command do what? It will change. It will not add this user. Remember, user can be member of multiple group, but what this command do? It will do only change. So when I run this command, and now when I check the file, so we can see that this user is now, it is not a member of this group. It is now member of this group. So this command do what? This command is used to change the membership. Only changing the membership, and this is good for the primary membership, because primary membership we can only change, we cannot remove. But for the secondary group membership, we can change, we can add and remove also, and we can add user into multiple groups also. So for adding or removing the secondary membership, we use G pass WD command. This command is used to add a user into a group as a secondary member, and also we can remove from the group. We can remove the user from the group as a secondary member. So for adding the user into some group, we use the -a command with G pass WD. Now this user right now member of this group, user 1 is member of this group. Now I will add this user into another group. For example, this time I will mention the username first. Now with this command, you will mention the username first. This user mode command is to modify the user configuration. This G pass WD command is to modify the group settings. So we use first the username, and then we will mention the name of the group which we want to modify. So we are adding this user into this group. Now when I give enter here, it says adding user 1 to group sales. Now when you check the file, so it was a member of this group, now it is also a member of this group. That means this user is now a secondary member of these two groups. So user can be a member of multiple groups, but only one group will be the primary. For example, this user 1 is a primary group for this user, but secondary group can be multiple. So secondary group for this user is this and also this. Now, as I said, primary membership you cannot remove, you can only change. You can use user mode command, but secondary membership we can not only we can change it, we can remove it also. So if you want to remove a user from a group, then you will use a command gpasswd, and D option is to remove the user. So D, then you will mention the username, and then you will mention the group name from where you want to remove it. So I want to remove this user from this group. So I will say enter. And now it is saying removing the user 1 from this group. And now when you check the file, so you can see now this user 1 is only member of this sales group. It is not member of this group now. Now, if we want to add multiple users into a group, if we want to add multiple users into a single group, then we can do what? We can use this command gpasswd hyphen capital M, and then we can add one by one all the usernames: user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5, and then after that you will mention the group name where you want to add these users. I want to add them into this group. Now all these users are now secondary member of this sales group. We can verify it from this configuration file, and we can see all the secondary members here. Now if you want to remove the users from the group, then you have to do it one by one. So there is no M option will work for that. For removing the user from the group, we have to remove them from group one by one. So removing the group we do only from one by one. Now we have seen how we can create the user, modify the user. We know how to create the group, add users into group, primary or secondary. Now we will see how we can do change the password information. Password information is stored into this file, into etc shadow file, and in the shadow file we can see the username. So this is the username, user1, then this is the password hash, and password is stored as a hash. Now this is what the last password change since after 1969. So it is counting in days after 1969, how many days have passed, and then the password is changed. Then we see the minimum password age, then we see the maximum password age, and then this is the expiration warning. Before password expiring before 7 days, it will give the warning to us that your password is going to expire and you have to change the password. These two values are empty by default. They are -1, password inactive, and also account expire. So these two options are not given here because they are set to default. It is not mentioned, so they are set to default, and that means they are -1. Now we want to modify these information. This is too much. Expiring days is very much. It is 99,999, and also we want to set the minimum password age also. So we want to modify these values. So how we'll do that? So the easy way is to do this is to change ch age command. Ch command, that means change age. That means we want to change the aging information of particular user. Then you will mention the username. I want to change this for the user 1. Now when I press enter, it says that changing the aging information for user 1, enter the new value or press enter for the default. Now you will enter the new value here, or you can go with the default value which is there into the bracket. So if you don't give any value, then it will go with this default value. Now first it is saying minimum password age. Minimum password age is by default 0. That means anytime user can change the password. So if suppose the user is changing their password too many times in a day, so what we can do? We can set the minimum age. For example, if I set 2, so user has to keep the password at least for 2 days, and then only it can change the password. Then this is the maximum password age. That means if the user does not change the password, then it is going to be expired on this 99 after 99,999 days, and this is the default value. So if I don't give any value, it will go with this default. So this is too much for us, so I will do what according to our policy. I will say after every 42 days the user must change the password. Now this is saying the last password change. Now this is the last password change which is going to be count in days after 1969. Now it is showing the date when the last time the password changed for this user account. It is saying it was changed on 20 July 2021. So we can set this value also, we can change this value also, we can change it to earlier, or we can change it to future, we can change it to any other date. Now what this date, why this date is important? This date will be important to count this maximum password age, because when the last password change, after that 42 days the password will expire. Now for example, if suppose the password is changed before 42 days, we don't know that when the user was changed the password. Maybe the user has changed the password, this user 1 has changed the password before 42 days, and I am setting the policy here that after 42 days the password will expire. Now if I don't change this last password change, then what happened? The password for this user will directly expire, because it has already changed the password before 42 days, and we are setting the policy to change the password after 42 days, expire the password after 42 days. So what happened? The password for the user account user 1 will directly disable. Now we should change this value to update the value, and then the password, maximum password age, will count after the date which we have here, which we mentioned here. So whatever the date we mentioned here, after that date the password will this will start counting the password days, maximum password days, and then after that date it is going to expire the password after counting the 42 days. Right now it is this day. We can mention the other day in the format of year, month and day. So you can change the date. Right now this user we have created on 20, it was yesterday, it was today, actually it is today, so it is showing the date of today. So if I don't change, then it will count the days, 42 days after this date. Now I want, then I can change the date also. For example, I will change 2021 and 07 to, I will say, 18. Now this information we will see, I will show you in another terminal. We can see that change here. This is the last password change, and this is after 1969. It is the counting of that days, 18,828. So this is what it is saying, that this password is changed after 18,828 days, but we are changing it and we are making it back 2 days. Now I'm saying it was changed in 18, so I'm backing 2 days here, so it will reduce the days, like 18,826 it will become. Then this minimum password age is going to update here, it will become 2. Then the maximum password age will change here and it will say 42 here. Then this is the password expiration warning. Now expiration warning is 7 by default, so before 7 days the password is expiring on 42 days. So before 7 days it is start giving the user warning that your password is going to expire. It says that please change the password, your password is going to expire, your password is going to expire. So whenever the user logs in, it will see the warning that the password for the user is going to expire. Now if we want, then we can reduce or increase the time. For example, I want to reduce it to 5. Now this value will update here. Then the next value is saying password inactive. Password inactive, that means your user's password will become inactive before -1. Now -1, that means this is the maximum password age, that is 42. So -1, that means before 42, that means 41, the password will become inactive. That means the real password will also not work. Now by default it is -1, but we can change it here. And when we change it, it will update here in this place. Now when you change this value, now we cannot change it to minus, we can only change it to plus. This is by default minus, but we can only change it to plus. So we can change it to suppose 2. So password will inactive after 42 days plus 2 days. So after 42 days it will add more 2 days, but the password will become inactive. Now in between these 2 days, whenever the user logs in with their own password, it will ask to change the password. So real password will work, but the real password will not work after the 42 days plus 2 days. Then the user has to talk to the administrator root, and then root will reset the password for that user. Now when I update this value, so that value will come here. Then the last place is remaining. Now this place we will see this value. It is called account expiration date. Now this date is also -1. That means before password expiry, this account will also expire before the password expires. So -1, it is going to expire the account also. But we can set a specific date for it also. A specific date for account expiration is useful when suppose we have some user coming into our organization for some specific time, and then after that they just want to have a guest account, and then after that they will go and they will not come back to our organization. Now they are like their guest, so we create the account for them and they will use that account till they be into our organization. Then after they leave the organization, they should not use that account. Now so we have to make sure that the account is expired, and we have to make sure to delete the account if they have gone. Now if suppose administrator forgot to remove the account of that guest user, then the user knows the password and username, it can use it from the outside also. And then if something happened to our data or organization settings and configuration or data something, then who will be responsible? That user will not be responsible. He will say, I have logged out, I have left your organization, I am not responsible for it. But because his account is used, so for doing those malicious things, so we can't do anything. And for that reason, we can do what? We can set the account expiration date for some users. So on that specific date, their account will be expired, and that account will no longer be available, it will remain inactive. It is also -1, but we can add a date here. Now this date will come as a days after 1969. So for example, I will say here that after 2021 uh, month 8 and it is 18, so I will say the next month on 28 his account is going to expire. Now I updated these values. Now when you check the shadow file, so we can see the value is updated here. Now remember, it becomes 18,826 because I set the date 2 days back. It was 28, it was 20th July, but I said 18th July. So it reduces the 2 days from it. Then this is a minimum password age, maximum password age, warning period, and password inactive is now +2. Then it is setting this account expiration date here. Now it is not setting the date, it is actually adding the days after 1969. So now after 1969, 18,867 days, this account will become inactive. So this is how we do what? We change the password information easily for the user account. So we use the command chage, change age, and then we mention the username which we want to change. And then we'll go through with this wizard and then we can change all these values. Now we know how to create account, how to modify account, how to create group, add users into group, either primary or secondary, and then we know how to manage the password for users. Now we can add some additional information also with the user by using this finger command. This finger command will do what? It will use to add the additional information and also to provide the additional information for the administrator. So we can use this finger command to use with username so that we can see the additional information about this user. Now it says the command not found. By default the command finger is not installed. But if we like, then we can install this command or install this tool to work with it. It has actually two options. One, normal finger command will do what? The command will use to create the information and to see the information. And there is one more option, one more software, one more tool is there, which is for finger server. We can configure the finger server to provide the information on network. So users finger information, we can say it is called finger information. Normally we say it is an additional information, and that will be provided on network by using or configuring the finger server. Now what is the additional information? So we have created the user only with the login name, but we have not added the user's full name, address, phone numbers. So these things we have not added. So if we want to add this information for the user, then we can use this finger command. Now it is not installed, but it is still available in the DVD in the installation media. So we have the installation media added into our machine and we can see it on the desktop. Okay, it is not showing here. So I will insert my DVD. Now I inserted my installation media. So it is now showing here, and it is also mounted, and it is actually automatically mounted, and the link you can see on the desktop. So this is the installation DVD, and when you go to the DVD, so in this DVD you have the directory called packages, and in the packages directory you have all the required packages there. These all packages are required. These are all software which is required to configure the basic server. So some of them we have installed at the time of installation, and if we want, if something is not there, then we can install it from here. So all the required files are there. Like we want to install the finger, so we can have finger here also. Now I am searching the finger here. Now I am seeing two things, two softwares. One is normal finger tool. This is a client tool, We can use it to add the user information and see the user information, and this is finger server, which we can use to configure the finger server to provide the user finger information on the network. Now we will use this to install here, and we will see how the finger information look and how we can add the finger information. But if you want to install it graphically, you can double click on it like we do in Windows, and then we can select install to install it. Or we can do it from command prompt. Now for doing it from the command prompt, it is a part of a topic, package management. So now for installing it from the command line, it is a part of a different topic, which is managing the packages. We will see it later, and I will do what? I will install it for right now. So we can install it, and we can install any package, any software with using the RPM command with -ivh option. And we have to make sure the package is, where is the package? Package is where the package is located. So by default, when we have inserted the DVD media, so it is going to be mounted under run media and the root user's home directory. Now here it is mounted under this directory. This is the default location for mounting any DVD drive when we connect the DVD. Now under this, let me show you first. With ls command, we see all the files and directories here, and this is the package directory which contains all the packages. So when I list this directory, we can see all the packages are there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to install that finger, and we can do this by using this command. And then here I will mention finger. So we have these two, finger and finger server. I want to install finger only, so I will say finger, and then it will install here, and it is now installed. Now this installation thing is a part of a different topic. We will see it in detail in that topic. Right now I just installed it. Now I added it to see the command here. So now I will use the same command finger to see the information about this user. Now it shows like this. It says this is the login name for this user, and the name, it is not there. It is saying something like this user is for the testing. It is actually showing the additional comment which we added for that user here. This is not the real name here. Now it is showing the home directory for the user. This is the shell for the user, and this is the time where it was last login on this terminal. There is no mail, there is no plan for this user. Now if I want to add the information to this user, then we will use this command chfn. That means change finger information, and then we add the username. Now when you press enter, it will say changing the finger information for user. Now again in the bracket you will see the existing information, and you want to change it, then you will mention here. Right now it is saying this is the name, and you want to add what name for this user. So I will say this user name is Mr. Daniel. Now where is the office? So office is located to in Bakuli Center, Kampala. What is the office phone number? So it is then it is something like this. What is the home phone number? So it is something like this. and done. Now when you check the information again by using the finger command, so now it is showing that this is the login name. Now login name we can't change it with this finger. We can change it with the username, user mode -L option. Then this is the name I have configured for the user. And the home directory we can modify by using the user mode -D command. Now this is the office information. This is the phone number for the office we have added from the finger. We can change it from finger, and this is the home phone number. Now this is the last time it was logged in, no plan, no mail. So by using this finger command, we can see the information about the user, and we can add this additional information about the user. Now again I am saying this as a additional information, because remember, whatever you configure in Linux, you have to configure it into the configuration file, otherwise it will not be permanent. So I did this configuration directly on the command terminal, but it is a permanent change because it has been changed or added into the configuration file. And the configuration file is this, which contain the user information. So when you open this passwd file, you can see the information here added as a additional information. So this is the information. It is added by the finger command. Mr. Daniel, Bakuli Center, Kampala, phone number. So this is what we use this finger command to add it into systematically, and to see it systematically we can use the finger command. Now we have added the user, we have seen how we can modify the user, we have seen how we can add the information for the users. Now what we will do, we will delete the user. Now we will see how we can delete the users and groups. So for deleting the user or group, first I will delete the user. So for deleting the user, we have a command userdel, and then we will mention the username. This command will delete the user. Now this user is now deleted. Now when you check the passwd file, so we can see the user 1 is not there, user 1 is removed, it is deleted. Now when we check the group file to verify the primary group, the primary group is also removed. Now we check the home directory for that user. So home directory for the user is under the /home. Now when you check here, now it shows the home directory is still there. Now when you check the mailbox, so where school mail directory, you can still see the mailbox file also there. Now what happened when we remove the user by using this userdel command? So it will do what? It will remove the user will be removed from the system. Then group, the primary group for that user will also be removed, but only if that group does not have any members. That means if any group, if the primary group of this user is having any member, whether it is primary or secondary, then it cannot be deleted. So it will not be deleted when we delete the user account. So only user information will be deleted. Now if the user's primary group does not contain any members, then it will do what? It will remove the user group also. But this command will not remove the home directory, it will not remove the mailbox, and it will also not remove any temporary files there in the temp directory related to this user. So this command will only delete the user and also the primary group if the primary group does not contain any member. Now if you want to remove the home directory or mailbox, then you have to do it manually. That means you have to run the command rmrf, and then you will go to home directory. You say, I want to remove now user 1's home directory, I don't need. You want to remove the mailbox, then you have to mention the rm command to remove this from spool mail, and then you will mention the username. So you have to remove this manually. Now if you want to remove the user with all its files and directories, that means I want to remove the user with all its home directory, mailbox file, temporary file, anything. So I will delete the user by using this user del command with -r option. This R option is for the recursive, and that means we want to remove the user recursively. Recursively, that means it will remove the user and its group and its home directory and its mailbox and also any temporary file it has. So you will mention the username, and then when you delete the user, it is deleted the user. When you check the file for the configuration, user configuration, you can see the user 2 is not there. Now when you check the group, you can see that user 2 group is also not there. It is removed, but again, whether you remove it recursively, but still if the user group, if the primary group contained any member, it will not remove with whether you are using recursively or not. But if the group has any member, then it will not remove. Now when you check the home directory, so it is deleted. We can see the home directory is not there. Then we can check the mailbox. Again, the mailbox is also removed. So it is removed recursively with all its files and directories. So this is how we remove the users, and users remove normally or recursively. Now we want to remove the group. So for deleting the group or removing the group, we use a command group del, and then we mention the group name. Now when you try to delete the group, it will not delete the group if the group is a primary group for any user. Remember, no user can be there, can reside in our system, in Linux system, without a primary group. So it is saying here that cannot remove the primary group of user 5. Now this group is having a primary member. It is a primary group of user 5. Now if we check this group under the file, so actually this is the group, and this is a group which is a primary group of user 5, but also it is a secondary group for user 3, user 4 and also user 5. But this is not important. This is not important. This secondary membership can be removed when the group is deleted. So we can delete the group if it has any secondary members. It does not matter. But if any one user is a primary group user there in this group, then we cannot remove the group until we remove that user from the group. So we have to remove the primary user, like this user 5. Now what we can do, what we can only change the user, we cannot remove it. So we use the command user mode and -g to change the membership. Now I will make this group a primary group for this user 5. Now I change the membership for user 5. Now this is the primary group for this user. Now I will try to delete again this group, which was saying that it is not able to delete. Now it is deleted. Unless it has two secondary members, user 3 and user 4, still it is deleted, because that is not important. Only the primary group membership is important. Now when you check, that user 5 group is that sales group is not available now, because we have removed the group. So we can remove the users, we can remove the users normally, we can remove the users recursively. What is the difference? When you remove the user normally, so user account will be removed, and the primary group of that user will also be removed. But if the user group, primary group, has any member, that group will not remove. Then we can remove, but normally it will not remove the home directory, mailbox, any other temporary files. But when you remove it recursively with -r option, then it will remove the user, it will remove the group, primary group. If it is not having any member, then it will also remove the home directory, mailbox, and also every temporary files also be removed. Then we can remove the we can delete the groups, remove the groups only if that group does not have any primary member. It can have any secondary member, that does not matter. We can remove the groups if it does not have any primary member. So for deleting the group, we have a command group del. Now we know how to create a user, manage the user, modify the user, change the password related to user, change the add and change the information about the users, additional information. Then we can see how we have seen how to create a group, manage the group like adding and removing the members, primary or secondary. Then last we have seen how to remove users and groups. Now this everything we have done it from command line. Now because this graphical is available, so we can do it graphically also, and there is a tool available. You can go to this by pressing the Windows key, and here you can search users and you can see this graphical tool. So this tool is available here. You can see the users here. If you want to create new user, you will give plus. Then you can create, even you can create administrator also. You can create a standard user and also you can create administrator. Now what that means, creating an administrator, all the users which we created command line, they all were normal users. They were not administrators. But now from this graphical tool, we can also create a user as an administrator. But what that means, we will see in the topic of permissions, which is we will see in the next lecture. So we can create the administrator user, we will mention the username, a full name, login name, then we can mention the password. Also we can allow the user to set the password when the user login next time. We can set the password, we can verify the password. Also we have option to create enterprise account, but for that we have to go online to add the enterprise login account. We are not online, we are not connected to any network. Then if we want to remove any account, then we can remove it by selecting the account and then minus. Now when you remove, you have two options, delete files and keep files. Now keep file is a normal deletion, this is normal user del command, and delete files is a user del -r. It means recursively, deleting recursively. It says it is possible to keep the home directory, mail, spool and temporary files around when deleting the user. We can choose to keep those files. Maybe if suppose the home directory or mailbox contains some important information or files, so we can keep them. Or we can just want to remove it for everything, so we can just delete it and it will delete. Then we can modify the information of the user. You can select the user and then you can see the information here. You can modify this information. You can change the login name. You can change the user's standard to administrator. You have language option you can change. Now this option actually, when you logged in with this user graphically, you will see automatically this option will be configured first time. You can change the password. Then you can set the automatic login. That means whenever you start the system, this account will automatically log in. Then you can change the last login here if it is enabled. You can see the history here for the last login. It has not logged in, so it is no history there. This user was logged in, it is showing here. This is the last history for this user, and you can see history for this week. It was logged in previously. You can see the date and time. So this is how you can modify the existing user, and also you can do what? You can remove the user. So I will remove it from here. Delete all files. Delete all files. Delete all files. I removed all the users now. So we can use this graphical tool also if we are using the graphical terminal to create or modify the users. Now I said by default no user can log in without password. Without password in Linux. This is the default thing. That means nobody, no user can log in without password. So if you create a user, you have to provide the password. You have to configure the password. Without a password, no user is able to log in. For example, if I add the user here, user add, user 1. Now this user is not able to log in until we add the password. So if you try to log in with this user account, now there is no password. I will press enter directly. It says login incorrect. So you have to provide the password to make this user login. Now we can also use a user without a password. Remember in the graphical tool there was a setting to set automatic login. So when it automatically log in, then what it will do? It will log in without a password. Now first I will create a password. Now this user can log in because now this user is having a password. So I will try to log in with this user, and now this user is have a password and it can log in now. Now we can configure the user to log in without password. Now first option what we can do here, we can go to the passwd file and we see this password mask. I was saying this is a password mask. It actually indicates that the password is there and you should ask the password for this user. Now if suppose I remove this X from here and then I will save the file, you should not edit the file directly, but I am doing it. Now what it will do, it will log in the user without asking the password. When I say username, you can see it is directly logging in. It is not asking any password. But this is not a right thing. This is not a right way to do this. You should not edit this file directly. So I will add the X again. Now when I try to log in with this user again, it asks the password, and when I provide the password, I can log in. Now if I want to make the user logged in without password, then I have an option in passwd. This passwd command has other options also. This command is to change or add the create the password, but it can do more. So it has more options, and some of the options can only be run by root. Like if I want to check, so I will give the help command here, and I can see there are the options. Now some of the options are only run by root user. Almost all the options. So we can do what? We can delete the password for any user. We can say here -d command. This command will do what? It will delete the password for the name user account, and it can only be run by user root. Also we can do also lock the user password. Also we can unlock the user. We can set the expiry also. So this is what this option will do. What it will delete the password. Now what is the meaning of delete the password? what is the meaning of delete the password? That means the password is stored into the shadow file, and in this shadow file you will see this is the password hash. Now when we delete the password, that means the password will not be there. It will actually remove the password. So when you want to add the password, then you have to create the new password again. So I can do this by using passwd-d for that user account. Now it did what? It actually removed the password for this user. Now user can log in without a password. Now when I try to log in with this user account, it is not asking any password. Now what it did here, you can see in the shadow file. So in the shadow file you can see for this user now there is no password here. There is no password hash. For this user we have still the password hash. So that command will do what? It actually remove the password hash for that user, and then the password is not asked. But you will say when we create the new user, that user also don't have a password. Like for example, I will create a new user here, user add user 2. Now we have not configured any password for this user, so still in the shadow file there is no password for this user also, no hash, but still it will ask the password. If I try to log in with this user account, user 2, so it is asking the password, and I don't have any password. Now why? So you can see the change here. When we remove the password by passwd command, it actually removed the password completely. There is nothing here in this column. But here this is the new user, and you can see these two exclamatory signs are there, and that means what? The password must be asked. It has to be, the password is need to be asked, and you can see this in same all these system user accounts. So these users also cannot log in interactively on terminals because they don't have any password, and when you try this it will ask the password and you don't have any password, so you can't log in. Same as for this new user, but when you use to remove the password, it actually remove everything, so that user can log in easily. Now if we want to reconfigure the password for this user which we removed, so we have to add the password now. It is not like disabling or enabling, it is like removing it. So we have to add the password now again for that user. Now the password is there, and then it will ask the password when the user try to log in. So now user has the password now, and when the user try to log in, it will ask the password for it. And when it gives the password, it can log in. So when I said in Linux system nobody can log in without a password, I said default, by default, because by default no user can log in without password. It is not secure, but we can change it. So when I say default, by default, that means the thing can be changed. So we can change the setting. We can allow the user to log in without a password. We have two options. We can remove the X from the passwd file, or we can use the command passwd-d to completely remove the password hash. So this is what the user and group management we have seen. All these things like how to create, modify, manage the user accounts, groups, add the members in the group, remove the members from the group, and then we have seen how to add some information, additional information to the user, and then how to remove the user accounts and group accounts.